Here we go. We're getting rolling. Paul Tarek in, Rex Stevens hosting. You got it. Living the Run. We are here every Wednesday, minutes after 6 bells. Paul,
except last Wednesday. We weren't here last Wednesday, but every other Wednesday.
Every other Wednesday we talk health and fitness every week. We mix it up here on ESPN 1280 The Ticket. Thanks to Mike Chelson letting us in. No show like us, Paul. Actually, in the United States, I don't believe nobody can have a co-host who's got a razor voice like yours. And, hey, you got the looks for radio and voice for silent movies.
That's right. That's right. We've talked about that numerous times.
Hey, I'm super stoked. We're going to get a big show tonight. As always, you can find us. If you miss any part of the show, check us out on Facebook.com/LivingTheRun or check in with us, LivingRun.com. We put the podcasts up all the time. Podcasts a big deal now, Paul. People listening to them, people traveling, people who are sitting in that commute world. The podcast is a big thing. You're not going to want to miss this one.
Yeah, you know what? I think technology officially passed me by. When Twitter and podcasts, when these all hit the mainstream and blew up, I felt like my grandparents used to feel. I was like, yeah, the internet, you know? Don't you guys know what the internet is? Oh my gosh, you're so old. Now I'm the guy that's like, a podcast, huh?
Hey, we'll have Virginia Merrim of Vert Foods coming back to us after the summer here. We're going to talk back to school food with her. We're going to talk back to school stuff with Ryan Joyner as well from Athlon Elite later in the show. Then special guest Paul Tarek, you're going to know her. She's going to come on our show for the first time. She's got her own show. That's just a hint. But right now, our latest sponsor for Living the Run in studio, excited to have him. And let me tell you this. When it comes to real estate in this town, it only took me a couple of months moving here in 2005 to hear one name over and over and over again, see one sign over and over and over again, and that is Hal Swayze. Hal Swayze in studio with us. Hal, thanks for coming in.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Hey, one of the things how we were talking about it, and I thought right away, when you saw your productivity and you started to hear your name so much, I wanted to know what was going on. And one of the things that's amazing to me, and I wanted to ask you this, is that we heard right off the bat that you had an active office. No one's sitting around. People are on their feet moving, whether you're on the phone, whatever you're doing, keeping the energy high, keeping you active. How long have you been doing that?
Been doing that since 1991, so I can't count that high, but however long that's been.
Let me tell you something, Paul. This is like way ahead of the curve because we talked about it a few weeks ago in here. Is sitting the new smoking? Sedentary lifestyle. For the first time, we can start to measure people out at 20 to 30 years of 8 hours or more of sitting. We're not getting good results. Organ systems are breaking down. People are not productive. They're less productive. Your office is productive as can be. Where'd you get the idea in 1991? Was it just, hey, I do better when I'm on my feet?
We don't have a checkbook, guys. No desk
That's
for anybody.
Right. Chairs are expensive, and my butt doesn't fit in them. So, no, at the time, actually, I've had a real estate coach. So you guys are health coaches. I had a real estate coach, and they've proven studies. When you're standing up, you have much more energy. If you try to sit down and lean over your desk, you're going to be lazy. You're going to fall asleep. So I have to have the energy to keep it up to do what I do every day.
Yeah, no question.
Yep.
I think the other thing is that you've got balance, too. One of the things I first heard, I said, this guy, Hal, he's selling all the homes. It seems like he's more active than everybody. I wonder what he's doing for workouts. And sure enough, you're up at the crack of dawn. You've got a coach there, too, personal trainer. Been using her, Lisa Huck, right?
Yep.
You use Lisa Huck forever. Get up, you get with a group of guys, a couple of guys, and you guys work out. You start off every day that way, yes?
Yes, yeah. Get up at 4:30. Yeah.
I get up at 4:30 on accident when my kid wakes up early. It's like, going back to bed.
That's how it starts. Yeah, with the kids. Yeah.
It starts with the kids?
They eventually get older, and then you're like, well, I'm bored. It's 4:30.
Yeah.
I'm up now.
Now what?
Now what? Talk about the approach to balance because everybody struggles with it. Our listeners struggle with it. A lot of our listeners doing extreme athletics. We've had, Dean Karnazes on the show running 100 miles at a time, doing all these pretty amazing things that take a lot of dedication. You're putting in a lot of hours in the real estate world, trying to be as efficient as possible. And certainly there's been bumps along the road. Kids
Sure.
come along, you're trying to keep the marriage good, friendships, etc. Talk about how you've kind of approached that balance and how you keep it all kind of together to be successful.
Well, it's similar to training. It's similar to athletics. You got to schedule your time. You got to schedule your workouts. I got to schedule time with my kids. When I'm busy working 50, 60 hours a week when my kids are younger, Friday at noon, okay, I can take off for half a day and pick them up from school. Now they're older, off to college. So it's all about scheduling and it's all about keeping those commitments. The only reason I work out early in the morning is if I save it for the end of the day, it ain't happening.
Well, I think the one thing he talks about there is structure. You got to have, you can't just wake up in the morning, at the crack of noon and get over to the office, sit down the rest of the day. He's kind of on his feet all day, 4:30 in the morning, working out. Then he's getting to the office. And I think we all know how easy it is once you sit down. It's easy to, I'm going to sit down for 2 minutes, and then 20 minutes later, you're still sitting there.
Yeah, and then you're reaching for the stimulant coffee, and then you're reaching for the sugar, trying to get a little high, and then you just kind of do this ebb and flow all day long. And, it never works. Never works. And the energy never sustains at any point in the day. I mean, you look fresh as can be. We're sitting here at 6 o'clock.
Right.
Look ready to roll. Take on the next thing, yes?
They can't see me, but I'll take that compliment. Yeah.
Well, the reason they can't see you is because we got this guy here, and we just didn't want to put it on video. We got complaints when Olympian Paul Tarek was. We had podcasts for a while, video casts.
What kind of sugar do you put in your coffee? I mean, I've never heard anybody refer to getting high by putting sugar in their coffee.
Well, sugar is, is certainly a drug, like anything else, and it can create massive addictions, false energies, if you will. We've talked about this a lot of times. The blood sugar dysregulation is one of the biggest problems with sitting today, is people just can't manage their energy systems appropriately. Talk a little bit about success. I know you were successful as an athlete too. Now we've got success in the real estate world. One of the things I've noticed about the real estate world, maybe like other businesses, but there tends to be a lot of complaining among certain agents. You kind of get this feel like, oh, the market's terrible, the market's down. The feds are doing this with interest rates. Loan programs are a mess. You just hear one kind of negative spill after another, yet you tend to remain consistent, positive, successful. What do you think it is, your office and the strategies you've taken to be able to maintain that success, whether real estate bubbles are up or down?
Well, it's totally mental. If you're an athlete or a marathon runner, there's times in the race you don't want to go on, where you're challenged, you're physically challenged. And, being in real estate, it's stressful on people. Owning a house is stressful. Renting a house is stressful. So what I do involves a lot of stress. And so, you have to regulate that, one, with your mindset. But two, I can't control the interest rates. I can't control the weather. I can't control what the federal government does. So there's people that are going to need my help. My job is to do the best job I can. And there's always people that are going to need my assistance. People are always going to need to be healthy. There's people that are always going to move, buy, sell houses, all sorts of circumstances. And if I'm in a bad state of mind, I can't do the best job for them.
Yeah, I know there's two kinds of markets. The buyer's market and the seller's market. And they both need real estate agents. I've never heard of the hold on to market. Nobody sell.
Yeah, right.
Oh, classic Paul Tarek. Again, we got Hal Swayze in from TeamSwayze.com. One of the things I've found that's really great about you, and I'd love to encourage the listeners, especially if you do not have a real estate agent, check out Hal. If you do have one, still check out Hal, because I look at real estate like this. It's almost like going into surgery. You go in and a surgeon recommends surgery to you. I've always recommended to patients, go and get a second opinion. And if you get a second opinion, you get a different answer, you get a third. Would you say not the same thing in real estate? So oftentimes it feels, people have come to me and say, I feel like I'm getting pushed into something, into one of these deals. I'm not sure if it's right. Go in and get a second opinion. Your office does that, yes?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You compare, you find a comfort level, and you find somebody that you feel you can work with. And I don't want to be pushed. I don't want to be sold. So we help to guide people through the process, try to give them the best advice possible, pull on our 23 years of experience and, all the sales we've done, and hopefully do the best job. And we take a huge commitment to getting that done. And that's why so many people refer us and come back to us. So like your practice. Yeah.
Where was that advice when I was getting laser eye surgery? And you're like, hey, you know what? Just get the bottom dollar, the cheapest one, best deal on the market. That's the one you want.
Ouch.
Where were you? Why did I get that advice?
I got to say, one of the things we try to do, Hal, on Living the Run, I know you're new to our show, but, and again, newest sponsor to Living the Run, Hal Swayze, real estate agent in town. One of the things we try to do here on the show is educate a little bit. And I think that's one of your number one things. I don't know if you think it's your number one thing, but you call routinely a lot of people.
Yep.
And the whole motivation I've always felt in the calls I've received from you is education. Hey, here's what's going on in your neighborhood. I wanted to let you know what's happening in the year 2013. Here's what's happened maybe in the last month. Giving compare, contrast, so that if people do get the time they're ready to sell, they feel like they've know kind of what's happened over the last decade or year or what have you.
Yeah, no, I'm always trying to bring value, to people, and I'm in a sales job. That's my job. We all have to sell something, whether it's on the radio or our services. But at the end of the day, if you bring value to people, then there's not a problem, And so I always try to do that.
Well, you've probably had a lot of experience with this. What would you recommend to somebody either buying their second house? I know it's a stressful time,
Yes.
and what do you recommend to people? Because I know if everybody came to your office and brought all of their stress to your office, it would probably drive you batty. So how do you rein people in? What advice can you give them?
Well, I tell people that work with me, and I have a small team, it's like we have to be the calming influence. I'll never forget when my wife had her child, and that was stressful, right? And you think your wife's going to die, and the doctor's reading a magazine in one hand, and he's monitoring what's happening with your wife in the other, and you're going, how does he do this? Well, he knows. So he gives you that sense of confidence, and if you know what you're doing, you can give people that sense. So if I'm there to help contribute to what they're trying to accomplish, then there's no problem. And if they see that I've been down this road many, many times, then there's value again added for those people.
Hey, what are you doing on the outside here? I mean, I know you're doing the fitness.
Yeah.
You're keeping the nutrition. What is fun in the life? I mean, you surfing?
Yeah, no, my kids are totally into surfing. I go about once a week and do that. Beach volleyball is my new passion, so I love to play, on the beach. Time is the big commitment. And then I played college tennis at Cal Poly, so I got to do a 50 Nationals tournament about 2 weeks ago, so that was a lot of fun.
Oh, fun stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, last thing, I got to say this to the listeners, as we're going back to school here. And, again, Paul, you see this. I mean, it's like if we could get everybody to love their job, like how this. I saw a video on you online, and the guy that was interviewing you asked, when are you going to retire? Your answer was brilliant on that. Tell the listeners what your answer is on when somebody comes up and asks, when are you going to retire?
I can't even remember what I don't know.
His answer is brilliant. He says, man, as long as I love what I'm doing, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. If you're living
Yeah.
and you're liking what you're doing every day, keep it rolling. You can obviously tell you like what you're doing.
Yeah, no, I enjoy it. It's very rewarding. There's challenges to everything, but there's days I don't want to work out, but I feel great when it's done.
Yeah.
And there's challenging times in everything, everything we do. But at the end of the day, it is. We went to a client's house yesterday that just moved in, and it's so nice. They go, "Gosh, thank you for helping us out. Thank us for doing this." That is very rewarding. And if I stopped doing that, I'd be bored to death.
At 4 a.m, I think it gets tough for Paul every day. I want to say this though. Going back to school, you did something that was one of the coolest things I've ever heard. My wife and I have it on our calendar. We're trying to figure out when we will do it years to come. But you took the family. Mm-hmm. You took a year off, right?
Correct.
Around a year off,
Yes.
and you traveled the world.
Right.
Talk about what inspired. I mean, I just cannot think of a better thing to bond a family after a bunch of years. Like you said, stress, early years of kids, a lot of going through school and what have it starts to become mundane. You took them, you picked them up, and you left.
Yeah. We took them out when they were in 7th and 8th grade, 2 boys, and we went around the U.S. in an RV pulling a car. We called it the Exxon Valdez, this big giant rig, 8,500 miles around the U.S., 11 weeks with a 7th and 8th grader, which was probably too long. And then came back to SLO and then packed our bags and went overseas. We went to Australia for 6 weeks, New Zealand. We went to Bali. We went to the Italian Alps for a month, then we spent the rest of the spring in Europe and brought them back just in time to finish the last 2 weeks of junior high so they knew what junior high was like and, reconnected with their friends. But it was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and, it took a big commitment, and I don't know how we pulled it off looking back, but it worked out great, and, and fortunately it's been inspiring to other people. We've had other friends who've done similar things.
2 weeks in junior high sounds about right, Paul.
How depressing would it be to come back to junior high?
Oh, that's a story in itself.
Saw France. It was great.
Not as depressing when you only got to do 2 weeks as opposed to that whole year. Awesome stuff. Hey, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you? And I want to say this one more time. If you haven't used Hal, think about using him. If you don't have a realtor, by all means, call him. And I'll tell you, I've seen a lot of patients that have told me they take 3. A lot of people take 3 realtors.
Sure.
And they say, we interview them all. And every time that Hal is one of them, they always select you. It's always interesting. They come back and I go, so what'd you decide on the real estate agent? Oh, yeah, Hal Swayze. I'm like, yeah, not surprised.
Good. Okay.
Was it his energy? Was it his fitness? Was it his knowledge? Was it the fact that more experience than everybody? I mean, what sold you on this guy?
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. Yeah, I love it. But what's the best way for people to contact you? TeamSwayze.com.
Yeah, they can go to my website, teamswayze.com, or just call my office here in town, 781-3750, of course, area code 805.
Yeah.
Right here in town.
Awesome stuff. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having
Appreciate
me.
you coming in and sponsoring.
Yeah,
with
you
us.
guys are great.
Good stuff. Hal Swayze, love it. Most productive realtor in this town. Fun, fitness, family, balance. It's all good, Paul Tarek. It's all the things that you are looking for in your life. Shiloh listened in. She's gonna expect a lot out of you when you come home. Hey, after the break, Virginia Merrim, Vert Foods, talking what to get our kids for school, back to school next week. More here on Living the Run.
You're listening to Living the Run on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket.
Hey guys, Paul Tarek from Living the Run here. As a former Olympian, there is only one place myself and fellow athletes go when it comes to chiropractic care on the Central Coast. With 4 chiropractors in the clinic, Slow Wellness Center is the largest, most comprehensive group of docs in San Luis Obispo County. I began seeing Dr. Rex Stevens back in 2005 for spinal adjustments to help maximize my performance, minimize my injury, and allow me to compete at my best. When the difference between a win and a loss can be just a fraction of an inch, perfect alignment in all joints is essential. One of the great things about the team at Slow Wellness is no matter where I had an issue, whether it was my spine, my foot, knee, wrist, or shoulder, they were always able to help. This team, made up of Dr. Rex and Molly Stevens, Dr. Sachs, and Dr. Bandolo, is sure to help you reach your health and fitness goals too. If it's chiropractic care you need, go where I go, Slow Wellness Center. Check them out at slowwellness.com or call 543-8688.
Folks, when it comes to the health of my teeth, I will not compromise, and neither should you. It's time you go where my wife and I go. Go see Dr. Ryan Ross. I get it. Not everyone loves a dentist, and heck, even a few of you out there are scared to death of these offices. Bad past experiences? Well, you ever had a bad haircut? How about a bad meal somewhere? You didn't stop getting your haircut, and you certainly didn't stop eating, so stop ignoring your teeth. Dr. Ross's gentle approach, calming demeanor, and office full of upbeat staff puts your dental fears to rest. Conveniently located in a great little house on Marsh Street downtown, Dr. Ross's office exudes the highest level of professionalism, mixed with an atmosphere much like your own home. Look, nobody's in a rush here. It's not a get 'em in, get 'em out atmosphere. Every time I'm in Dr. Ross's office, it's like I'm the only guy that matters. No distractions, just full focus on my oral health. If you're interested in the highest quality in dental care and want to walk out of the office every time with a smile, call Dr. Ryan Ross today, 541-5800.
Puma Aquatics team offers year-round swim programming for novice, recreational, and competitive swimmers. For 16 years, Puma has developed some of the fastest swimmers on the Central Coast, as well as the nation. Puma has 3 convenient locations to choose from, providing programming for all of San Luis Obispo County. Puma offers swim assessments for new swimmers on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the SLO Kennedy Club, Atascadero Kennedy Club, and Arroyo Grande High School. For more information about Puma Aquatics, check out pumaswim.org. Join the Puma Pride and challenge yourself to reach new levels in your swimming. Puma Aquatics, where pride, passion, and persistence pay off.
You want to get fit? And I mean really fit? Fit for fun? Fit for looking good? Fit for life? It can happen for you at Athlon Fitness and Performance in San Luis Obispo. Athlon has a 4-week fitness fast start designed to get anyone back on track and moving like a champion quickly and effectively. For a limited time, you can start Athlon's 4-week fitness fast start for only $197. That's 4 weeks of personal training, nutritional guidance, movement rehabilitation, motivation, fun, and encouragement, all for just $197. Take your body and your athleticism to a new level. Go to athlonslo.com. That's ATHLONSLO.com to learn more about the 4-week fitness fast start. It'll be the best decision you'll ever make.
We're back with Living the Run.
Off to a banging start. A banging start, Paul Tarek. You missed that at all. Pick up the podcast tomorrow. Hal Swayze, latest sponsor, teamswayze.com. Look him up. Great realtor. And I tell you, the energy is outstanding out of that guy. It's 6:30 almost, Paul. And this guy looks as fresh as can be. And
when we came in the office, he's doing business. He wasn't sitting around. He was standing up, doing business, going through emails, making some phone calls right up until it was time to come in. And he's not like frantic and stressed about it. He is calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah, no question. I mean, he hits that kind of positive, proactive, preventative approach, I think, that we've talked about quite a bit. And, look, 1991, this guy had it down. Standing desks only. Everybody's standing. Why? More productive, more energy at the end of the day. And I've tried to talk to people routinely in the clinic at Slow Wellness Center. And a lot of people have that initial concern that, can I really stand there? Can I really, at the end of the day, have more energy? And, once they do it, they get there. And some people have to transition a little bit more. They do a little sitting, little standing, little sitting, little standing until they get to that standing position. But I'm telling you, you never see anyone that says, my energy's worse, I feel worse, I'm gaining weight, my digestion's bad. Nobody says it. It's not even close. Everyone needs to be up, and don't argue.
I'm not arguing, but I'm going to put you on the spot. I've been to California Wellness, and I remember seeing a desk with a chair right when I walk in.
Hey, we got we're switching that around. In fact, we got two.
Now your receptionists are going to hate me. They're going to be like, "Why did you say anything?"
Two good standing desks we've implemented in our. Well, actually, all our offices, the chiropractors at our clinic, all standing desks.
It's just
billers
that reception. It's
but
just
there's
that one receptionist
spot
when
wasn't
you come
designed
in. Yeah.
very well. We're trying to change that design, and we'll get her up and going. And again, it'll be a good thing.
I don't have nothing to hassle you about.
Hey, talk about hassling. One of the things that's so great for this show, and has been a real anchor to this show over the last year or so in 2013, Virginia Merrim of Vert Foods. We're coming into school time, and Paul, as you know, one of the big issues out there is in the food world is two things. One is what do I pack in my kid's lunch at school? Number two is what do I feed my kid before school to start off the day? And these are huge, huge issues for families. It's huge issues for adults, but especially for our kids. How do we get them to get to school so that their energy is good, so that they're not distracted, so that they don't have lulls going through the day? Virginia's going to join us here in just a second.
My novice parenting, I would have to take a guess at. I would say oatmeal in the morning. Oatmeal with some fruit, some nuts maybe.
I'm going to give the big Family Feud.
No,
that's not going to work. Virginia, give him two more chances. Two more chances for the Olympian.
Well, Paul, the problem is, and if we start off with oatmeal about 2 hours after eating it, we're going to be pretty sluggish. Our blood sugar is going to drop, and we're going to be super unfocused. So for young kids in school, that's usually a problem. And usually we get reports home from teachers talking about, they can't see straight, they can't sit still, they just don't seem to be focused. And the reality is your kids really need to start their day with a lot of protein and a lot of fat, as well as some carbohydrates. And we've gotten in this really interesting trend of cereals and oatmeals and, toast in the morning and Pop-Tarts, unfortunately. And, we talked about what you were saying, that sort of frantic pace that people get into. And I'm hearing it a lot this week. I got a lot of emails about school's a week away. What am I going to do for breakfast? Give me some quick things I can do. And the first thing I want to remind parents is there's no real reason why it needs to be quick and rushed in the morning. The morning time is a great time to sort of set the pace and the intention for your day, especially for your kids, and get them off to a good start, meaning calm, thankful, and just let them have a moment to sit at the table and eat a breakfast before they go to school. A great time for the family to connect before you don't see them for the rest of the day. So I get it, though. I have two young ones, both starting school. My little one's going to be officially in school this year. And I thought, here I go, 2 kids. What am I going to do for breakfast? And the reality is I have 2 kids and 5 mornings to prepare breakfast. That's 10 items. I really think on a Sunday night I can sit down and prepare some stuff in advance and have it ready to take out of the refrigerator and put it on a plate and sit down with them and eat breakfast. So I gave you guys a few samples. That's what we had this morning was leftover sweet potatoes that I mixed up with some raw cheese and eggs and just stuck in the oven. It took 10 minutes. It's a great combination of protein and carbohydrates. And then one of my kids' favorite things is putting eggs inside different vegetables. And I put an egg in an avocado and put some homemade ketchup on it, and an egg inside of a tomato. These are all great, healthy choices that are fun for the kids and don't take long to prepare.
Yeah, let me tell you, when I looked at this dish that's sitting in front of me right now, again, Virginia Merrim of Vert Foods on with us here on ESPN 1280 The Ticket. You're listening to Living the Run. The first thing I thought was my little guy, Leighton, he loves avocado and he loves eggs. Put the two together. Super creative, looks pretty darn cool, and I know that he would dig that.
And it lasts a while. You can do that. You could do that on a Sunday night, and that's going to get you through at least 2 to 3 days if it's already cooked. So have them, stick them in the Pyrex, leave them in your refrigerator. Now, we mix it up in our house. We do some salsa. We do the I make a fermented ketchup, which is what's on one of those, which is just tomato paste, fish sauce, and sea salt with a little bit of maple syrup. It's just a great dip for lots of different breakfast food. And then the other item you have there is a walnut zucchini bread. There's 0 grain in that. It's literally crushed walnuts and zucchinis, again, from the night before, and you just cook it on a low temperature, and it's just like a bread.
Yeah, with a little peanut butter on top.
Yes, with a little peanut butter on top.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, these simple combinations go a long way. We'll throw these up for folks on the online because a couple of these things, again, just kind of creative. Virginia, we do a lot at my house, and I know that we eat pretty well, but I just haven't thought to put an egg inside an avocado or an egg inside a tomato, but there's no reason the kids won't just flat out love that, and it's something different.
And it starts their day off to a good tone, getting their day fun and something creative, and it's a good way to, again, setting that intention for how you're going to have your attitude for the rest of the day.
No question about it.
You got to be careful, though, Rex. In California, I'm sure this is totally acceptable because, Californians tend to, appreciate finer food and they're a little more refined. I grew up in the Midwest. If you bring something that looks this looks gourmet almost. You bring that 5-star gourmet to lunch, you're going to get beat up.
Well, I tell you, in the Midwest, you're probably not growing figs probably as nice as these figs
brings in
right
peanut
here
butter
either.
and jelly and like 2 hucks of corn, and that's your lunch.
Some Pop-Tarts. Well, next week we'll talk about lunch and alternatives for how to pack a lunch, a real food lunch. Again, trying to get rid of some of those products, those additives and chemicals that really put the downturn on the day for the kids.
Love it, Virginia. Thanks so much as always. Thanks for the tips for families and even for people like Paul Tarek. Even I think he can get it done at his house as well. We'll talk to you next week. Thanks for joining us again.
All right, you're welcome. Bye.
All right. Virginia Vert Foods, that segment brought to you by Virginia from Vert Foods. Look them up at vertfoods.com. If it's just creativity you might want, if you're feeling a little tired, a little down, trying to change the schedule and you need a little help with a little meals for a week, try Virginia. Again, 2 big things. One is it'll ease some of your stress. Number 2, it'll give you some of those ideas that will help you kind of forge forward for you and your family to, again, start the day right. This is critical stuff, Paul Tarek.
Well, I'm excited for next week. I'm going to share my recipe for peanut butter and jelly, Rex, and I'm sure that's going to be at the top of her list of things that we want to eat for lunch.
Hey, speaking of, next week, good show, Paul, and it's right up your alley. Joe Thorne coming in, former University of Texas at Austin runner, 1,500-meter runner there. I think he ran 800, maybe 5,000. Sounds like he ran a whole bunch. Married to Kara June. Kara June, Olympic trials, I remember, 2008. She was there 2012 as well. Steeplechaser, long distance. They're back in San Luis, came from Texas. This is going to be a great couple to talk to, talking about balancing their lives. He's converting over to an Ironman triathlete now. She's still competing. These guys are going to bring some good momentum into the just had a baby. So just talking family, where you're at in life, and how important fitness still is to them going forward.
You know what's got to suck? They just had a baby, and that thing probably has the lungs of a champion. It can cry. Let it cry itself to sleep. No, it can't. That's the problem. It won't. It doesn't get tired. It never gets tired.
No fatigability there. Hey, Ryan Joyner in just a few moments. Hey, Paul, I wanted to touch base. Local athlete, somebody who I've seen in my clinic multiple times over her 2 Olympics thus far. She's world championships were this last weekend, actually for her, Monday and Tuesday in Moscow. Sharon Day, phenomenal performance.
I believe she finished 6th.
Finished 6th, and she was 3rd after the first day. It looked like she had kind of a rough go in the long jump, which kind of knocked her out. But 6th place was only like 50 points away from the medal stand. It's shoring up good for Sharon Day come Brazil 2016. 2016. Looking good, phenomenal athlete. Again, local athlete producing at a high level.
Yeah, and what's crazy about Sharon is she's such an incredible high jumper and kind of back and forth in the 2 disciplines that you kind of say, oh, I really wish you'd focus on one or focus on the other one. But it's like, how do you really pick one to focus on when you can be successful at both? Yeah,
no question about it. Gosh darn it. You pulled for her. You're still grateful that she finished 6th, but she was right on that cusp.
I think 65.50, I think, was 2nd place.
Yeah, so she was right there. But
and that was only 100 points out of 1st place too, I believe, because I think 1st place was only 50 or 60 points.
Yeah, she was 70 off after the first day. Your buddy Ashton Eaton, routined 8,800. This sounds crazy. I mean,
nothing big.
Yeah.
Nothing great.
Marginal long jump, marginal high jump.
400 was pretty decent. 400 was good.
Yeah, guy still goes 8,800, and it's his new wife of, I don't think, much more than a month. Brianne,
They
right?
just got married, yeah.
Took second place there in that heptathlon. So
Yeah,
she was
Harry-
one that was competing with Sharon.
Harry was all ecstatic, but I know Harry, and I can assure you he needs to have a stress release course, at least 5 days to decompress, because I'm sure he was wound up after that.
When are we going to get your former coach, Harry Mara,
Next
back
time he
on
makes
this
the
show?
Central Coast, we'll get him on here. He's an incredible guy. When I first met him, he was a coach, had trained down at Santa Barbara when Bruce was down there. Knew all the guys, and has been involved in the decathlon for years. It was him and Fred Samara that got the Visa team set up. That whole Visa Dan or Dave thing that culminated in that. He just loves the event, and he's put so much time in. I'm just thrilled that he's working with Ashton and bringing out the best in Ashton.
And I love having you here, Paul Tarek.
And Ashton's wife.
And Ashton's wife, Brianne.
The whole family. I never thought there'd be a family better in the multi events than Tom Pappas and his wife Kim. Turns out, I think they've just been dethroned.
They're better.
Yeah.
Hey, Rex Stevens, Paul Tarek in studio. You listen to Living the Run. We got Ryan Joyner. A couple of tips going into back to school as well from Athlon Elite next, and then a special guest joining us for the first time here on Living the Run. All that next, still in the show here on ESPN 1280, The Ticket.
You're listening to Living the Run on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket.
Hey guys, Paul Tarek from Living the Run here. As a former Olympian, there is only one place myself and fellow athletes go when it comes to chiropractic care on the Central Coast. With 4 chiropractors in the clinic, Slow Wellness Center is the largest, most comprehensive group of docs in San Luis Obispo County. I began seeing Dr. Rex Stevens back in 2005 for spinal adjustments to help maximize my performance, minimize my injury, and allow me to compete at my best. When the difference between a win and a loss can be just a fraction of an inch, perfect alignment in all joints is essential. One of the great things about the team at Slow Wellness is no matter where I had an issue, whether it was my spine, my foot, knee, wrist, or shoulder, they were always able to help. This team, made up of Dr. Rex and Molly Stevens, Dr. Sachs, and Dr. Bandolo, is sure to help you reach your health and fitness goals too. If it's chiropractic care you need, go where I go, Slow Wellness Center. Check them out at slowwellness.com or call 543-8688.
Folks, when it comes to the health of my teeth, I will not compromise, and neither should you. It's time you go where my wife and I go see Dr. Ryan Ross. I get it. Not everyone loves a dentist, and heck, even a few of you out there are scared to death of these offices. Bad past experiences? Well, you ever had a bad haircut? How about a bad meal somewhere? You didn't stop getting your haircut, and you certainly didn't stop eating, so stop ignoring your teeth. Dr. Ross's gentle approach, calming demeanor, and office full of upbeat staff puts your dental fears to rest. Conveniently located in a great little house on Marsh Street downtown, Dr. Ross's office exudes the highest level of professionalism, mixed with an atmosphere much like your own home. Look, nobody's in a rush here. It's not a get 'em in, get 'em out atmosphere. Every time I'm in Dr. Ross's office, it's like I'm the only guy that matters. No distractions, just full focus on my oral health. If you're interested in the highest quality in dental care and want to walk out of the office every time with a smile, call Dr. Ryan Ross today, 541-5800.
Puma Aquatics team offers year-round swim programming for novice, recreational, and competitive swimmers. For 16 years, Puma has developed some of the fastest swimmers on the Central Coast, as well as the nation. Puma has 3 convenient locations to choose from, providing programming for all of San Luis Obispo County. Puma offers swim assessments for new swimmers on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the SLO Kennedy Club, Atascadero Kennedy Club, and Arroyo Grande High School. For more information about Puma Aquatics, check out pumaswim.org. Join the Puma Pride and challenge yourself to reach new levels in your swimming. Puma Aquatics, where pride, passion, and persistence pay off.
You want to get fit? And I mean really fit? Fit for fun? Fit for looking good? Fit for life? It can happen for you at Athlon Fitness and Performance in San Luis Obispo. Athlon has a 4-week fitness fast start designed to get anyone back on track and moving like a champion quickly and effectively. For a limited time, you can start Athlon's 4-week fitness fast start for only $197. That's 4 weeks of personal training, nutritional guidance, movement rehabilitation, motivation, fun, and encouragement, all for just $197. Take your body and your athleticism to to a new level. Go to athlonslow.com. That's ATHLONSLO.com to learn more about the 4-week fitness fast start. It'll be the best decision you'll ever make.
We're back with Living the Run.
Welcome back to Living the Run. Rex Stevenson with Olympian Paul Tarek. This segment brought to you by Left Coast T-shirts. Can I say this about Left Coast T-shirts? You know,
It's your show. You can say whatever you want.
my oldest son Kellen turned 6 last week. You know, we had a birthday party this weekend. I had 9 kids over. I went over to Left Coast T-shirts. I bought a bunch of those. You know, those kind of long sleeve. They're in between long sleeve baseball practice shirts.
Yeah,
with
different colored sleeves.
Different colored sleeves. Yeah, brilliant. Put the backs on the backside, the names of every kid. Put a number on there for every kid, and they all walked in. They all got a jersey, and we just played sports basically for 4 hours. Had a good time. Thanks to Left Coast T-shirts, they did a fantastic job. The kids flat out loved them. So check out leftcoasttshirts.com. Dave Whitaker and his guys. I'll tell you, one thing about Dave that he does better than everybody else that I've seen in this business. People can make shirts. Everybody can make shirts, right? It's not that difficult. Everybody's got the same equipment. His customer service and his efficiency is just flat out ridiculous. I mean, he turns things over so quickly. He goes the extra mile for people. Left Coast T-shirts is the place to do, and he did a great job for us on a last-minute deal, getting birthday shirts for the kids.
Oh, nice. Did you pose our T-shirt question for the amputee? You know, I'm not drunk. I only got one leg, so she could have that. Remember, she wanted that T-shirt. You didn't try to get her to make that T-shirt?
We're not going there. Where we're going right now is we're going Ryan Joyner, Athlon Elite. You know, we'll talk next week. Ryan's got a program he's going to talk to us about with regards to kids going back to school. But right now, we want to talk about something. This is big, actually, in the world of fitness and so forth. Are we training harder or are we training smarter? Let's talk a little bit, Ryan. Thanks for joining us, as always, here, coming to a close in the summer. Let's talk a little bit of this term you hear out there tossed around called anaerobic threshold.
Yeah, what's going on, fellas?
As always, good to have you, man.
Yeah, thank you. Lately I've had quite a few people come in to Athlon, looking to improve, typically hikers, bicyclists or cyclists, swimmers, all the above. And always the big question is, how do I get better at not having to take so many rests? I'm hiking with my friends, and I have to stop and take too many rests, more than I want to, or I want to be able to keep going longer and harder. And ultimately that comes down to anaerobic threshold. And just a really quick, for those that don't understand that, the anaerobic threshold is essentially that line at which you are producing more acid than what your body can consume. Now, you're always producing energy utilizing oxygen, and you're always, as a result of muscle contraction, creating acid and then consuming that acid for energy. And there's this really nice balance going on throughout most of your activities. As soon as you have an activity that is requiring more energy output than it's requiring a high enough energy output that your body starts producing more acid than what you can actually consume quickly enough, then you start getting an acid buildup, and that's that burning. That's that burning you get in your lungs and your muscles. I'm sure you and Paul are very well aware of that. Every time you guys go out and compete with each other, you're feeling that lactic acid.
A mile into a jog, I'm feeling.
Yeah, it's going to be big for Paul Tarek when we lay down the gauntlet at City to the Sea. Paul's very interested in going 13 miles. The reality versus me, the reality is that not too good to go anaerobic in that first mile, is it, Ryan?
Yeah, not at all, exactly. And so you want to operate at a energy output that is below that threshold, so that theoretically, if you're only producing enough acid that you can consume it consistently, then theoretically you can go forever. However, as soon as the energy demand is above that threshold, that's when you're going to start burning out. Now, the secret, of course, to conditioning, and this is what all athletes know, is through conditioning you can raise that threshold. You can improve the threshold so that you can now operate at a higher energy output without producing too much acid and causing you to, essentially go anaerobic, as they say. So how do you do that? There's two kind of main techniques, and one is called exercising at a tempo pace, or what a lot of times in CrossFit or at Athlon we'll call a maximal steady state. And then the other way is intervals, right? So then those two methods, how do you do it? So a maximal steady state or a tempo pace is where you go out and you're exercising right at that threshold or maybe slightly above it. So as an easy example, that's where you're going to go out for a run, and you're running fast enough that you know you're not going to last much more than 20 to 30 minutes tops. What we do at Athlon a lot of times, what we call the original, is we do 5 pull-ups, 10 push-ups, and 15 squats. And you do that at a pace for as many rounds as you can go for 20 minutes, knowing that at the end of the 20 minutes you should be completely exhausted, done. So that would be a tempo pace where you're kind of operating at an output where in 20 minutes time you got nothing left. An interval pace then is where you're going to actually go all out 100% for short bursts, maybe a minute or two. And then you want to rest completely, like maybe a 1 to 2 work to rest ratio. So in other words, work really hard for 2 minutes, rest for 4 minutes. Or work really hard for 2 minutes, rest for 2 minutes, a 1-to-1 work to rest. And a good example or something you can do at home would be get out, go out for a run, maybe go down the block and back, say 400 meters or a quarter mile, and then setting a clock for 2 minutes. So you're going to run down there and back, and let's say that takes you, a minute and a half. And then you're going to do as many squats as you can possibly do until the buzzer goes off at 2 minutes. Walk around and completely rest, come back to resting state for 2 minutes, and repeat that. And repeat that maybe 5 to 10 times to where there's this really, really high output and then 2 minutes of rest. And you can do that with any exercise. You can run and then come back and do push-ups. You can do push-ups and then get up and go for a run. You can really just, your imagination is the limit right there, sit-ups or anything.
Good stuff, Ryan. Appreciate that very much. And I know we're seeing that a lot in the world of triathlon training where people are working a little bit more efficiently, a little smarter, and not so long. So many people were running into those long mileage that was beating their body up. Now they're starting to play with the anaerobic thresholds a bit and getting more efficiency, working a little less, but a little smarter. Appreciate that very much.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, awesome stuff, Ryan Joyner, Athlon Elite. As always, we'll talk to you next week. We'll talk about what kids can do at school to offset some of that sitting that's going to be coming up for the next year. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you then.
Good stuff, Paul. Hey, we got to get that special guest in here. We got somebody who's never broached the show with us coming up next to close up the show, as well as tips and takeaways. As always, you're listening to Living the Run right here on ESPN 1280, The Ticket.
You're listening to Living the Run on ESPN Radio 1280 The Ticket.
Hey guys, Paul Tarek from Living the Run here. As a former Olympian, there is only one place myself and fellow athletes go when it comes to chiropractic care on the Central Coast. With 4 chiropractors in the clinic, Slow Wellness Center is the largest, most comprehensive group of docs in San Luis Obispo County. I began seeing Dr. Rex Stevens back in 2005 for spinal adjustments to help maximize my performance, minimize my injury, and allow me to compete at my best. When the difference between a win and a loss can be just a fraction of an inch, perfect alignment in all joints is essential. One of the great things about the team at Slow Wellness is no matter where I had an issue, whether it was my spine, my foot, knee, wrist, or shoulder, they were always able to help. This team, made up of Dr. Rex and Molly Stevens, Dr. Sachs, and Dr. Bandolo, is sure to help you reach your health and fitness goals too. If it's chiropractic care you need, go where I go, Slow Wellness Center. Check them out at slowwellness.com or call 543-8688.
Folks, when it comes to the health of my teeth, I will not compromise, and neither should you. It's time you go where my wife and I go see Dr. Ryan Ross. I get it. Not everyone loves a dentist, and heck, even a few of you out there are scared to death of these offices. Bad past experiences? Well, you ever had a bad haircut? How about a bad meal somewhere? You didn't stop getting your haircut, and you certainly didn't stop eating, so stop ignoring your teeth. Dr. Ross's gentle approach, calming demeanor, and office full of upbeat staff puts your dental fears to rest. Conveniently located in a great little house on Marsh Street downtown, Dr. Ross's office exudes the highest level of professionalism, mixed with an atmosphere much like your own home. Look, nobody's in a rush here. It's not a get 'em in, get 'em out atmosphere. Every time I'm in Dr. Ross's office, it's like I'm the only guy that matters. No distractions, just full focus on my oral health. If you're interested in the highest quality in dental care and want to walk out of the office every time with a smile, call Dr. Ryan Ross today, 541-5800.
Puma Aquatics team offers year-round swim programming for novice, recreational, and competitive swimmers. For 16 years, Puma has developed some of the fastest swimmers on the Central Coast, as well as the nation. Puma has 3 convenient locations to choose from, providing programming for all of San Luis Obispo County. Puma offers swim assessments for new swimmers on Tuesdays and Thursdays at the SLO Kennedy Club, Atascadero Kennedy Club, and Arroyo Grande High School. For more information about Puma Aquatics, check out pumaswim.org. Join the Puma Pride and challenge yourself to reach new levels in your swimming. Puma Aquatics, where pride, passion, and persistence pay off.
You want to get fit? And I mean really fit? Fit for fun? Fit for looking good? Fit for life? It can happen for you at Athlon Fitness and Performance in San Luis Obispo. Athlon has a 4-week fitness fast start designed to get anyone back on track and moving like a champion quickly and effectively. For a limited time, you can start Athlon's 4-week fitness fast start for only $197. That's 4 weeks of personal training, nutritional guidance, movement rehabilitation, motivation, fun, and encouragement, all for just $197. Take your body and your athleticism to a new level. Go to athlonslo.com. That's ATHLONSLO.com to learn more about the 4-week fitness fast start. It'll be the best decision you'll ever make.
We're back with Living the Run.
The energy's heating up in here. Rex Stevens, Paul Tarek, the guest that we've wanted on this show for a while now. She comes in every time, Paul Tarek, right after our show. She runs this thing called the CJ Silas Show.
Sort of.
From 7 to 8. This guy, Andrew Masuda, is going to be on next. Apparently, we should know him, too. You know, actually, I got a joke on it. Andrew Masuda, he was out doing video on Sharon Day, who we were talking about at the track just a couple of weeks ago. But we'll talk with him, too. Retired over there at KSBY. But here's the deal. Here's why we wanted you in, CJ.
Oh, no.
And let me say this first, because
do you want me to taste your avocado chocolate pudding? Because I won't.
We can't.
I'm joking.
We simply can't make it that extreme this early. We're just going to start and say this segment brought to you by Jaffa Cafe. We're going to give CJ a gift card. She can give it possibly to one of these members of the entourage that continues to be out here. And Paul and I never know what anybody's doing out there, but I'll tell you this. We run a health and fitness show. There's Red Bull, red licorice, red dye number 40. I mean, there's red everything over there.
I was offered nachos when I came in. I almost didn't make it into the studio.
And,
I was like,
and I never see anything with any kind of sustaining energy.
Do you ever?
Explain it. And here's a little Jaffa gift card for you.
Do you ever see me eat any of that? Do you ever see me? Do you see how mortified I am at these people with the energy drinks and the red vines? Are you kidding me?
Well, here's the thing. I think too. I'm wondering what kind of ship this is, because I see Bobby out there. He's got all smiles right now, but here's the deal with Bobby. You know, he comes in, he's a disaster for like a month. He's got this thing they want to call labyrinthitis, right? And, you know, labyrinthitis, for anybody who knows anything, here we go. They go, oh, it's a virus.
Did you just violate HIPAA laws?
Yeah, it's a bacteria that does this. No, let me tell you something. You know what the main cause? I think it's stress from the CJ Silas Show, that he's having to deal with this disaster out here of nutrition. I think the entourage is too much for this guy. We got to mitigate the stress. We're gonna have a relapse.
Here's the deal. He works at a late night pizza delivery service, and that's what I blame. Okay. Not only that, is the poor guy is so overstressed because the CJ Silas Show syndicate never does anything. They sit out in the sports pit and they just disrupt and distract everybody. I don't know what they're getting done. Oh, goodness.
I don't think anybody does. But yeah, we just wanted to set the record straight. You're not participating in the food nonsense.
Oh my gosh. No, I bring
the
water.
Food denigration. It's not even food, Paul Tarek. That's not even stuff you would consume.
Those nachos look good. Are you talking? Are you kidding?
Look at Bobby in the window eating the nachos.
Yeah,
how does a guy with labyrinthitis go back to eating?
Don't worry. Remember, he's going to have pizza tonight at midnight.
Hey, talk about what you got on the show coming next.
Andrew Masuda retired yesterday from KSBY Television. He's a sports guy, really good person, and he's never been on the show. So he's going to sit in with me tonight, and we're going to talk about the Central Coast Classic. It's the big bike ride next weekend. It's 30, 64, and 100-mile bike ride through Arroyo Grande, Edna Valley, and into Avila Beach, all benefiting SLO Creative Mediation and SLO Leaf, two local nonprofits. And we're going to have a Air Force Major come in who's riding for her fallen comrades. It's going to be a really emotional story. Oh, I just got the chills telling you that. And then,
I like it.
and then I'm leaving the country.
Stay tuned next week to cry.
Stay tuned. And there's no way she was going to ask you, Paul Tarek, to try and run the show next week because we know that would be
one and done.
a disaster.
One and done. It would be a terrible disaster.
Hey, real quick, we do tips and takeaways every time on this show. We try to give the listeners something good. You obviously stay fit. Your energy's great. We had Hal Swayze in again. Thanks to Hal Swayze for coming in. Fittest
realtor guy?
Fittest realtor out there.
He's
His
the
energy's
most
tremendous.
famous realtor around.
Most famous guy around.
Yeah.
TeamSwayze.com, latest sponsor on Living the Run. I tell you, what do you do for fitness? What do you do to stay? Is it just look at those guys and do the opposite?
Exactly.
I mean, look at the entourage.
Exactly.
What are they doing? I'm going to go do the opposite of what they're doing right now.
Well, I played all 4 sports in high school. I ran track at both USC and Syracuse. I was the slowest one, always coming in last, but by gosh, I was the best one at practice.
What event were you?
Sprints
Well,
and
you should have been a
relays.
distance runner, maybe.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm a distance runner now, but I'm in my 40s.
You probably would have been an Olympic level distance
You
runner.
never know. And then I played basketball. Still play basketball with men a couple times a week in San Luis. And I play roller derby and I hike a lot. And I do CrossFit a couple days a week for cross training. And I'm surprised that you would say roller skating is not a sport. You've never seen roller derby.
I have.
Your wife plays roller derby.
I have seen it, and I just had to get you fired up.
You
because
did.
I did say it had to have a run, a jump, or a throw, and I will concede that roller derby, while a fringe sport, there's a lot of activity that is.
Hey, let me tell you something. My 6-year-old rollerblading, learning in hockey, he just jumped over a kid that was laid out in the middle of the rink.
Have you ever seen roller derby? I can jump 5 people.
It is
okay?
incredibly,
Just
it is
saying.
incredibly competitive.
Okay.
I can totally buy into
CJ,
it.
thanks for coming.
Thanks, guys.
in.
No
We'll
red
bring you
vines
again.
for me.
CJ Silas show next. Tips and takeaways real quick, Paul Tarek.
I think structure. Hal talked about it. You got to plan your day. You got to get up. You got to make a plan to be successful, and then just follow your plan.
Yeah, I think so. And one of the things he said, and we've said it a lot of times, he gets up at 4:30 in the morning. He gets it rolling, and he never ends the day saying, "I wish I wouldn't have done that." He never does. Fitness is a priority. Family's a priority. Friends are a priority. This guy's got it going on, and appreciate him coming on the show.
Yeah, I've ended a few days in my life going, yeah, I really wish I wouldn't have done that, but for different reasons.
Paul, is that every day for you?
No, it's like every 3. My hand's all wrapped up and bleeding and going, I wish I wouldn't have done that.
I'm excited about next week. Joe Thorne, Kara June, 2 of the top athletes. We'll talk about how good the lungs are on that baby they just had, a few months old. What's that resting heart
Just
rate?
let it cry itself to sleep. It won't go to sleep. You don't understand.
Thanks to our guest, Hal Swayze. Thanks to Virginia Merrim of Vert Foods. Thanks to Ryan Joyner of Athlon Elite. And thanks to who you need to listen to next, CJ Silas Show, for coming in, setting it straight on that entourage. We live healthy, we live bold, we live the run here. See you next week.